Hey, what's up, folks? How you doing? It's your friend Phil here. I thought I'd give you a few ideas as your PMP exam prep is underway. I'm obviously distracted watching one of these George Clooney movies, but I wanted to give you some ideas about preparing for the PMP exam. You know, you might want to use a minimalist approach when it comes to books and other materials. A lot of people spend so much money on books that contradict themselves, you know. By the time you are not really studying your PMBOK guide and you're reading, I don't know, 2, 3 books in tandem, you're probably doing the wrong thing for yourself, you know, because the PMBOK guide on its own has some suitable information to get you quite far for the exam, especially the 6th edition. The 5th edition, not so much, but the 6th edition has got some of those missing elements. I'm talking specifically about leadership, you know, about communication, being into the business, the difference between management and leadership, that kind of stuff, is well covered in the 6th edition. So by the time you begin to buy 2, 3, 4 study aids, rather than concentrate on the PMBOK guide, I feel that's a bit excessive. One PMBOK guide and one study guide, one good study guide, you know, should be enough. Because the more books you have, the more confused you may get, you know. I would advise you to take a minimalist approach. Why do I say that? Well, I've had a number of students over the past, I want to say past 10 years that have taken the exam, passed the exam, but those who do excellently well, many of those I find that have a boatload of targets and above targets, you know, boatload of above targets, ATs, or what did we call it back then? Proficients. Yeah, proficients. Many of the folks who got several proficients back in the day, and even today, many of those getting above targets, they are those who stayed on the straight and narrow, those who went onto a learning management system, studied our study guide, but absolutely read the PMBOK guide. You know, in fact, a few years back, when I began to see the recurring theme of all above targets, or back then, all proficients and all above targets now, I found a common theme to those students. I found those students to be those who didn't go crazy, didn't go on Amazon buying every book under the sun. Those who did crazily well with either 4 or 5 proficients or above targets, if you will, today. There were those who only read our content and stayed the course. In fact, the 2 who started all the, you know, this thread of above targets and proficients, Shruti and Kelly. And I've talked about Kelly on here before, but she was one of the first to start this trend. I mean, so many of our students now have above target, all above targets, or 4 above targets. And it started with those folks, you know. But when I looked into how they did it, I realized that after the training was done, they stayed on one set of materials. They stayed on the PMBOK guide, they stayed on our study guide, and that was their main focus. They didn't go buying a boatload of books, from Amazon, wasting their money on stuff they didn't need, because all the content they needed was in the PMBOK guide and our study guide. So for you, I don't know what study guide you're using, but if you're using a solid study guide, one solid study guide, that should be enough. Don't go buying every book under the sun, confusing yourself, getting mixed up. What you should be spending time on is unraveling the PMBOK guide, understanding the guide, digging into it, knowing what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all going to go back to the mothership. So that would be my suggestion to you, Focus on one set of materials. Don't go crazy buying book upon book, curriculum upon curriculum. Some people have become, examiners of curriculums. Instead of being a PMP examinee, you're becoming a curriculum and book examiner. That's not what you want to be. You want to be someone studying the content to take the exam, not wasting your time vetting and validating a bunch of books, and it's just a waste of time. So my suggestion to you folks is spend time on the big ticket items. Spend time on the big things, understanding the PMBOK guide, knowing it inside out, and then you can use whatever study guide you're using to complement it. As far as mock exams are concerned, same thing. A lot of people make themselves serial mock exam test takers, and the truth is you're taking a lot of exams that are just no good. It's not about the quantity, folks. It's about the quality. You don't want to get caught up in this do loop of taking mock exam upon mock exam upon mock exam that don't really add value. I call those feel-good factor mock exams. They make you feel good for the moment, but when the real exam brings out its bag of tricks, you realize that you are wasting all of your time and effort and money, by banking on those exams, because at the end of the day, you get into the real exam and you find you are in no way, shape, or form prepared for the craziness that ensues on the real thing. All right, so don't go crazy on those mock exams that aren't going to add value. We don't want to scavenge mock exams that have been rendered useless by other people. But unbeknownst to you, these mock exams, they're just there on the web for free, and you think someone is doing you a favor. No, they're not. Should I just be honest with you? If you're taking the 6th edition exam and you're jubilating over a treasure trove of free exam questions, you have to be careful, because you might be injecting poison into your work stream for the PMP exam. Don't do that. Don't inject poisonous stuff into your work stream, because since the 6th edition exam just came out, there's likely to not be a bunch of free mock exams lying about. You see, this happens all the time. People end up not knowing how these exams work, that they have to be changed and, maintained. They do. So if you find yourself taking a bunch of free mock exams for the 6th edition, you might be injecting poison, fungus, mold, injecting stuff into yourself that you have no business even looking at, talk less using. All right. So my suggestion is to not waste time. My goodness, I'm being distracted by this movie. Someone's planted a bomb. Talking of bombs, some people don't know that the mock exams they're taking are actually bombs. Bombs waiting to explode. Hey, you don't want to be going around with a bomb that's ready to explode, you know. So you want to make sure that whatever you're using, whatever study materials you're using, whatever mock exams you're looking at are legit, you know. And speaking of that, we're cranking out some mock exams for our students. It's an ongoing thing, you know. We're working on those, getting them into shape, tweaking them up, and so on. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, you know. Minimalist approach. You want to use the minimalist approach, guys. All right? Use the minimalist approach. As long as it's effective, it's sensible, you know, that's what you want to be doing. Uh-oh. Someone's being attacked. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox here. I hope that helps someone. I'm going to go back to my movie, guys. And I look forward to hearing about your success. All right? All the best on the exam. Speak to you soon. Gonna go back to Mr. Clooney's action. When the bad guys people are hit, then he breaks down and starts wailing. He forgot all the bad he did. All right, guys. Speak